Wow. 1 million troops.
That didn't happen this E3 for Konami.
Yes, this year they decided to try to be more professional from what happened last year and have a pre-recorded conference video to show everyone instead of a live conference.
Yep. Instead, they decided, record everything and, show it off to the press a week before E3.
Yes.
Which is an argument that we can get to in a while from now, particularly about showing off everything that you're showing off at E3 before E3 even starts. Kind of exactly what Konami did. Burns out your stuff. Or did they? But this video has nothing to do with the actual unveilings.
No, Jared's conference.
We're talking about the press video. No, it's not even a conference. It's a press video. They had a press event with a press video. They didn't have
Don't ruin this for us.
Okay. We're going to pretend that this was a press conference and that we learned everything piece by piece and wasn't all unveiled by G4 at the same time. Which it did, by the way.
So you didn't have to watch the video?
Yeah, you didn't even have to watch the video. In fact, game trailers even announced the stuff in the main paragraph while the streaming was still happening.
That was kind of funny.
That was funny. All right.
So let's go
down the list of... Yep. It's a pretty paltry list, actually.
Yeah, it's very
little. In fact...
well, I think it's pretty much as much as everyone else has a conference.
Give it away!
The first one is Metal Gear Solid 3D.
Snake Eater. But yes, this was an interesting game. It was announced last year with the naked sample.
On the 3DS.
A lot of people thought that this was either going to become a full game or it was just going to be made into a brand new game that utilized the 3DS.
Well,
turns out to be a port.
Yeah, it looks like a PS2 port, dumbed down a little bit to fit on the 3DS's hardware. Some things have been improved, other things not so much. A lot of detailing is cut from it.
Well, actually, I go against you with that. I think that they added a lot more bump mapping and stuff to the clothes. There's some difference, but if you want to look at the HDR, the depth of field and that sort of thing, those were programmed into the PlayStation 2's game.
Yeah.
Whereas in this version that doesn't exist because it has to show through the 3D.
Yeah.
So the game in a 2D perspective definitely looks worse than it looks on the 3D.
But in 3D might look better. There's some new interfaces they talked about with the tilting and taking pictures to make your own camouflage. It's not a bad thing.
As long as you keep it clean. Though that would be hilarious, come to think of it.
Next is PES 2012.
Oh, and Yoshi was in PES 2012. Soccer game, football if you're not from America.
It's a good sports game series. Enjoy it.
Apparently it's been seen as one of the better than FIFA, but we don't play those type of games, so we can't really tell you. I can tell you that they showed a lot of motion capping.
Yes.
They showed a lot of motion capturing.
And that's not just done for that.
No,
it's
just
the entire conference.
During conference,
video.
Every single major game, they had showed footage of them, the actors in mocap suits. And
NeverDead.
NeverDead was had Megadeth in it. Megadeth wrote a song specifically for
Not a big fan of Megadeth. Just throwing it out there.
Yeah. The game we finally learned about the story. The story is about the main character Bryce, who lived 500 years ago, trying to be a demon hunter and wanted to kill the king demon,
and ended up getting his wife killed and getting a.
I don't even know. Was it really his wife?
That's what I heard. That's what they said in the conference. I watched.
I wasn't paying attention at the time.
No, because we were looking at it
It's a guy talking.
The cool thing is that you break off your limbs and you can use it, but they didn't actually show them. He said they were going to show uses for that ability in game, and they really didn't.
Well, there are too many cuts. The game does look pretty good from that standpoint. I'd say there's a lot of unique Japanese originating. There's the term for third-person shooters between Vanquish.
But that's being made in Oxford.
Being made by Rebellion, whose previous game was Alien vs. Predator. But the point is that there's a lot more unique third-person shooters coming out now. Hopefully they can keep expanding that because you're going to have to see quite a few.
I'm going to have to see how the dismemberment thing actually takes into effect in the game.
Yeah,
I have to see that first.
But I am very concerned that it might be much like Knight's Contract by Game Republic, in which you're actually do have a game over screen when somebody else dies.
So it's going to be more of an escort.
So it's going to be more like an escort. But if it is not the case, then by all means it's going to be different.
It's going to be like Kirby's Epic Yarn.
It's going to be like Kirby's Epic Yarn, except with a lot more dismemberment and a snide person who's been
Silent Hill.
Years. Oh, Silent Hill?
Downpour.
Silent Hill was a big part of this conference.
Because they talk about the movie, the Downpour, which they showed a new trailer for, about a convict who's stuck in
Silent Hill. And a new
Silent
game, which
Hill.
we'll get to in a second. But it was very odd to have a discussion about the movie in that conference because they were talking. They had the actors and the director talking about the movie.
They were talking about the game or the movie. They didn't because they kept showing gameplay footage alongside discussion.
I'm guessing that it's because I think Sony is doing the movie. I don't remember who's doing the movie, but I'm guessing the movie studio said the footage is not ready yet, so they used footage of Downpour while they were talking.
So they're trying to cross promote. Aren't they also making a collection for it?
We'll get to that in a second, or not a second, but a few seconds. The next, yeah. No, don't count the seconds. They announced a new Silent Hill game.
Yep. For the NGP, right?
Yep. Silent Hill, Book of Memories. Books of Memory. Book of Memories.
It's a memoir.
It's a memoir written by the creator about how he was removed from the series after making the 4th game. No.
We don't know what it is. All there was a trailer. There was no trailer. It was just a logo.
It was a logo with specific text on the top saying that Sony had not even approved the game yet. Which means
I didn't read that.
No, it says Sony hadn't even approved the game yet. Which means no. You were going to say like it still hasn't been greenlit yet. No, it means the game is in extreme pre-production still. It's kind of like when Metal Gear Solid. Hey, Metal Gear Solid Rising.
Yeah.
was announced. They only showed a logo and a render of Raiden's
So we're not
face.
going to see this at least 2 years down the road.
I think a year and a half, 2 years is a pretty good estimate of when it's coming out. This may even disappear like the Resident Evil PSP game.
No, they brought it up and they kind of just...
No, they said we don't know what happened to it.
Well, that's Capcom. Let's go back to Konami.
Back to Konami.
Finally, we go to Kojima.
Yes, Hideo Kojima is not at this year's E3, but
he was at the conference, which kind of negates the whole thing of not being at E3.
Why wasn't he there? Well, frankly, he has nothing to show. That's why.
He has a lot of things which...
He's got a lot of things in the pipeline, but he's got nothing concrete to show.
They spent a lot of time setting this up for some huge announcement, and it really wasn't
Mark
that
McDonald
big.
from 8-4 was...
Brought
there.
And Mega 64 was there too.
Yeah, Mega 64 skit was pretty fun.
Yeah,
of course, if you hadn't watched the old Nintendo VHS tapes...
Well, that was the first part. The rest of it was fun.
Yeah, it was pretty
All
good.
of it was fun.
But what they showed off was that they weren't going to have anything really new from Metal Gear Solid Rising. This is, of course, the day before E3. Tomorrow could be the day where we see like an actual demo of the game.
Yeah,
but there's been rumors that Metal Gear Solid Rising has been moved to Platinum Games, and that they're actually working on something else now. But I can't say whether that's true or not, so forget that. But yes, Rising comes out next year. No footage as of yet. Probably
the big thing they wanted to announce
was the HD collections. Yes, their big game was 3 collections for HD games.
One of them being Silent Hill.
For Silent Hills 2 and 3, but not 4, which confuses me because 4 is clearly on the PS2 as is 2 and 3.
I think it's because they want people to
I like 4. 4 was a very haunting game. Yes, is very different from Silent Hill 2 and 3,
yes.
but by all means, why not? It's the same team after all. And then you have the Zone of the Enders HD collection, which is both Zone of the Enders games.
Yeah.
So
it wasn't the new Zone of Enders game that everyone was hyping it to be. It was just another compilation.
Just a compilation of the first 2 games.
And then Metal Gear Solid compilation.
HD collection. Now all these games are taking the PS2 games.
The second one, the third one, and
Peace Walker.
Peace Walker. This is the big thing. Peace Walker is coming to PS3. It's not a PSP Masters. It's actually a whole thing.
Yeah. What I believe is that the PSP remaster thing with the whole bringing games to the HD system, I think that is what Kojima was lamenting on his Twitter account when he said like, "Oh,
I spent a whole year at work wasting my time on that." Yeah. But the big thing about releasing Peace Walker on the PS3 was the big thing that Kojima wanted to basically push out heavily. Transfarring.
Transfarring was even announced before the HD collections were technically.
Yeah.
But Transfarring, for those of you who want to know why he puts an A in there, I don't know. It's Kojima, it's what he does.
Transfarring as in it's going far?
Maybe. The idea is he wants to be able to connect PSP, PlayStation 3, PS2, and NGP games together through save files.
So pretty much the idea is you're sitting at home playing on your PS3, and you want to go out and with Peace Walker. How do you do that?
I don't know. How do I do it?
Use transfarring, and the transfarring would pass your save file to your PSP game, and now you can play the game on the go. Then when you get home with it, you'll transfer that save back to your PS3 and continue playing on the PS3. The problem with that is you have to buy the game twice.
Yeah.
That's my only concern.
His goal, essentially, is he's going to start off with Peace Walker. You're going to send data from the PSP to the PS3 and back and forth. And he wants to be able to do that future with the NGP. With whatever game he's making next. And then on top of that, or I guess we can do the same thing with Peace Walker on the NGP, but he also wants to somehow connect the PS2 to these things. How that's possible, I don't know.
He hasn't shown anything that... You see that so far, the only game he's done it with is Peace Walker.
But here's the issue. He spent a solid 10-15 minutes talking about how transfarring and the HD collections were going to be such a big thing. I don't see that as being a big thing. Transfarring is literally just game save swapping from the handheld to the console.
And it requires you to buy the game twice.
Yeah.
If it was transferring the whole game to your handheld, that would be something.
Yeah, that would be something I'd be more interesting. But there's rumors that because of this, because there's transfarring on the Japanese game for Metal Gear Solid HD Collection, which doesn't have Peace Walker on it, that it implies that Metal Gear Solid 3 will be coming out for the Vita, which is what the codename for PSP is, or NGP.
At least that's what we think it is.
And of course, that's stupid because they just announced they have Metal Gear Solid 3D coming out, which is 3 on the 3DS, and for $20 more, which I assume that if it's full price for both of them, that you're going to get both 2, 3, and this Peace Walker game never released on the PS3 before on console. That's bad marketing. And
you don't release 2 of the same games on 2 different in the same holiday season.
It just shows that Konami doesn't know.
He did. Now to be fair, he did show us something new. The Fox engine. It's basically a new cross-platform engine he's trying to make. So that way it works on multiple platforms based on its design. Probably the NGP and the PS3 working simultaneously.
Actually, from the video,
and Xbox 360.
And PC too. That's all. That's right there. He was showing he had 2 controllers and a mouse right next to each other.
Oh, and by the way, all these HD collections will be coming out for the Xbox 360
yes,
also.
and PS3. So, yes. After all that, by the way, Kojima's segment was like a third of if not more, of the entire video.
And it was basically a lot of discussion,
exposition, and a robotic voice from nowhere just talking, making it like something big is going to happen, and we get this HD collection. And after all this is done, the president's like, "I hope you enjoyed this. Thank you." And then
explosion happens,
and we're like, "Okay, are they touching trailers now?" And all of a sudden, trailer appears. A giant fireball appears, creates a sea, and then says, "They're coming." That's it. So, I was right.
There is a Contra game.
There's a Contra game coming out. Okay, so, looking at the 4, we specifically mentioned 4 things from Konami. 1, we were going to get Silent Hill Downpour as a big game.
We did.
In fact, that is one of the 2 major games that they're pushing this year, which the other one being NeverDead. The second one, Metal Gear Solid Rising,
didn't see it.
Not here.
It's probably going to be at the other conferences.
So if it's not at any of the previous X conferences, you can take that as a negative for us, because so far we're 1-1 then. The third one was a Castlevania teaser.
You know what? It was kind of funny because at the very beginning of the conference they mentioned this is the anniversary for both Frogger and Castlevania. And now there's a Frogger 3DS that I saw a trailer for, but
it looked like okay, to me it looked like a return to form.
Yeah,
it reminds me more of the PlayStation one, which is good because I like that Frogger game. The problem is that if that game is going to be costing $40, they better work a little bit harder on making the models look better.
And then there's no Castlevania game.
And no Castlevania game. None.
And then why bring it up?
Oh yeah, Tony, did you know that this is the 25th anniversary of this game? And I was like, why'd you tell me that? There's no reason to tell us this.
Don't tell us unless you have something to show for it.
And they have nothing to show for it.
Now, unless they have something shown at the other conferences, then they'll bring it up.
Yeah, so I feel annoyed that now that you brought that up, it's really annoying. You know, you said you wanted a Castlevania game, and I was like, maybe we could. And
sorry, we got Contra.
We got Contra though. That was the one that I just came out of nowhere and said, Contra for the 3DS. It was a rumor that happened way back then.
I don't even know if it's good for the 3DS.
Rumor was that Way Forward was making it. And that, again. But this, according to some rumors, will actually not be just 3DS, but also be, or not even be 3DS, but be an HD game.
As equivalent to Castlevania's reboot.
Yeah, a complete reboot of the series.
I really hope it doesn't be like...
I don't want chest-high walls, but, you know, this is Konami. We don't know what we're going to get.
Anyways, so that was Konami's conference. We spent a long time talking about it.
Well, we talked about it, but what about our impressions of the
our impressions of it? There was a lot of extra talking. Basically, when it's a live conference, they know they have to move it along. Whereas this time, because everything was structured by a schedule, they could talk as long as they wanted and then stop and cut it out. And so a lot of times it felt like their discussions were dragging. And I think NeverDead kept looping. I think we just kept going back and forth.
My brain turned off after they talked for like more than 20 seconds. I don't want to do that, but when they talk about like, the game is about third-person shooter. It's a very interesting product. We've been working really hard on this. And
it's kind of hard to pay attention to talking.
We know.
Footage is playing.
Get to the big announcements, and nothing happened. Konami walked in, had this. I'll be honest. It had a great quality to it.
Yes.
There was, except for the fact that after a while we stopped getting information telling us who was talking. We heard the sound effects of them talking, but nothing showed up.
That could have been a flaw.
That could have been a flaw on our part, but it may have been a flaw in the video itself. But all we got out of it that wasn't already known were the HD collections and Transfarring.
Yeah.
Oh, and the logo. 2 logos, technically, if you want to include the Contra.
Yeah.
Teaser.
So, pretty much HD stuff.
So, if you are... I do have to say I like the fact that they're making these HD collections, but at the same time I'm not too happy with making these HD. To make a big thing
It shouldn't be a big announcement.
It should be... I mean, look at Sony did. Sony was like, yeah, we're making a collection of Sly games, or Gears of War, God of War. There's so many wars out there.
Yeah, it's great. Yay, hooray.
But
we don't spend 15 minutes talking about it.
And the transfarring idea, I'm still on the edge about it. I mean, why would Kojima say, like, okay, I guess I can see why, but he makes this big spiel about it, and it's pretty much a Sony exclusive thing, and then say, oh yeah, it's also for 360, I guess, if you want to go for that.
Yeah.
And, you know, once again, only...
So for me, I'm deep down, though, I'm very bitter with Konami, because they got rid of Bomberman.
Yeah, they bought Hudson earlier in the year, and rumor has it they pretty much killed everything. Though we have heard there's a Tetris game for the 3DS that's going to be playable in Nintendo's booth, which is made by Hudson.
But it's not Bomberman.
It's
not Bomberman. It's not Bomberman.
It's not Bomberman. It's not Bomberman. But yeah, that's our look at Konami's press event. If they have another conference during E3, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm just we'll film this again, re-record it, just so the whole thing over again. So tomorrow's E3.
Wow.
Yeah, just to let you know, tomorrow's E3, and you probably already know that. We have no idea what's going to... Actually, yeah, what are you talking about? We know everything at this point.
So many leaks.
So many leaks. That's unfortunate. Because we know so many things that Microsoft's going to announce. Sony pretty much announced everything already.
Yeah.
Nintendo, we already know what the big thing that their console is going to be at this point. So unless something pops up, you're not going to see us jumping off that wall. Well, we probably shouldn't. This thing is not really sturdy.
Stable. Yeah, and we'd hurt ourselves.
Anyway,
And each other. Wow.